Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Lure Fishing Project. This was round 4 of the Atomic Tournament Series on the wonderful Botany Bay on the Georges River. This was run and won on the 28th of June, and the round sponsor was Samaki. And after we do the intros, I'm going to tell you a Samaki story, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, a cracking event, Battle of the Plumbers. We had hooked up DTH Plumbing against Rise Above Plumbing, and you'll have to listen to see who won that, even though the plumber and the winning team wasn't on board. Who knew? And obviously followed up by Team Shimano in third place. One of the interesting things about this round is all 3 teams have won a round of the Atomic Tournament Series or the New South Wales Tournament Series in different areas. And reason that's interesting, this series only been going for a year and a half. So, yeah, very good. All right, let's roll the intros and I'll tell you my little Samaki story. Here we go.
Welcome to the Lure Fishing Project, where Australia's best lure anglers share their tips and stories to help you catch more fish and have more fun on the water. Here's your host, Andrew D.
All right. So like I said, 28th of June, and you'll hear me rabbit on about it a little bit because it did rain a lot before the start, when it was the time of morning when all the competitors would have been on their boats traveling across to the briefing or at the briefing. So really inconvenient time to get a bit of rain, but that's tournament fishing. Okay, for this one, in terms of the details, we had 80 in the fish activity wheel with a major bite period at 9:06 through to 11:36. High tide was at 7:38 at 1.22, running down to a low tide at 0.47 at 1 p.m. And I mean, the interesting thing about that is only less than 800 mil of run, so quite a small tide, though in my experience, sometimes those are the best days out there. My little Samaki story. So when I fished the Georges with Harvey the other week, we were fishing the deep and I had a couple of fish and Harvey hadn't caught any at this point in time. And we were traveling around. I thought, we're not going to sit in the one spot, with him not catching fish. So we moved to a couple of different spots. Anyway, in that process, I saw a bunch of mulloway underneath. I went, okay, well, I said to him, do you want to have a shot at a mulloway? You may as well. We're here and there's definitely some there. Anyway, he said, righto. So we put the Samaki on the forktail one. And of course, Harvey throws out and he hooks up on a fish and, a couple of head shakes. I go, okay, pretty good. Anyway, so that came up as a bream. And then a couple, maybe 20 minutes later, he did the same again and caught 2 bream while chasing dewies. So I thought that was pretty cool and a good story to tell on the Samaki round on Botany Bay. Anyway, let's get into the angler interviews. Here's Team Shimano. Rightio. So coming in third place, we have Team Shimano. Now they dropped their bag of 5 fish weighing 4.12. Putting them in third place, I have Jason and Mick. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks for having us.
No worries at all. Nice little round on a bit of a rainy, stormy day on Botany Bay or Georges River.
Bit of a rainy day is an understatement, but yeah, it was substantially moist.
Tell us about driving over to the briefing. That must have been a bit special, I'd imagine.
Well, actually, for me, it started at about, 3:30 in the morning when I've hooked the boat on at home and drove up to Sydney, and pretty much the whole way was rain. And I'm thinking, what are we doing? What am I doing? 50 plus years old, and here I'm driving 2.5 hours to go and stand in the rain.
To go and play fishing together.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, I must admit, because I didn't fish, I was in bed at about 6:30, and the rain on the roof woke me up, and I was like, I looked at the time and went, everybody's in their boats.
Yep. Yeah, we were just sitting there waiting to start. Just at least, it was good. It was good to catch up. Everyone's stuck in the same place and catching up with faces that you're running to every month now with the tournament. So that's all,
Yeah, I mean, it's like the old days. I don't know whether you remember, there was a round which we did at Greenwell Point in the SBS.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they counted down the start. They went like 3, 2, 1, and the rain, it happened in 2 comps to me. The rain just belted down. It was like they counted it in.
Yep. No, that's why we buy really good wet weather gear, because of the experiences that we have standing out there, middle of winter, teeming rain, and yeah, nothing worse than being cold and wet.
Well, for me, the rain cost me an iPhone, so I need to invest in some serious wet weather gear.
Oh,
So that's my next purchase after trying to recoup the losses of a phone.
what phone was it? What iPhone?
Was this like an iPhone 16 Plus Pro Max something? Yeah, not a cheap one.
Ouch. Ouch. That makes a good paperweight.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's get into it. In terms of pre-fishing, did you guys get out together or did you have a bit of a fish around?
No, I didn't go up there. I relied on the reports I heard from the Hobie around the week before. Obviously Mick fished, so his insight helped me. Go for it, Mick.
Yeah, so I fished in the Hobie, ended up in ninth, which is probably that's my best result in the Hobie, so pretty good weekend for me. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great result, and it was interesting conditions for the Hobies. Like certainly the Sunday was a tougher day, I thought.
Yeah.
All right. Based on what you guys kind of worked out leading into this comp, what was the plan?
So yeah, I sort of had a plan in mind, just with the tide, full water, fish some oyster-covered rocks, some edges in the lower part of the river, hoping for a bit of flow, and then pretty much from there work out whether it's worthy going upstream or head downstream into Woolooware. And it was just see how the morning played out to make that decision.
Sure. All right, let's roll into comp day. So you got through the wet briefing and what have you. Tell us how the day started for you. How'd you go about getting a couple?
All right, so first spot, like I said, some basically water-covered, oyster-covered rocks, just on the edge heading upstream, and spot that I fished only last year. My partner that I fished the series with last year sort of showed me this area, and it's like, okay, there's plenty of oysters on all the rocks in amongst some jetties and pontoons. So started there, literally first cast, got a bite, landed an undersized bream. So sort of get a bit of confidence. Yes, not the right size, but it's certainly, okay, there's fish here. And then from memory, like I was pitching a plastic over the top. I think Mick was throwing a crab on the edges in around just to try and get that bite. Went away from the first bank. I rolled off a fish, which was a nice fish, and that was pretty much it. It was a lot quieter than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But then, moved along up towards a bit of a point, and from memory, I think we got our first, maybe 10-second legal off that. Just similar country, a little bit deeper, a bit more flow. From the first area was a bit more of an eddy. The second spot would have had a bit more flow coming past with the run-out tide.
Okay, and were you guys on plastics or crabs or?
I think mostly I was throwing plastics over the top, lightly weighted, and Mick, correct me if I'm wrong, was crabs and stuff a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I threw crabs most of the morning and some plastics as well. One unusual thing that happened was I actually caught the first fish and I was like, Jace, I don't even know how to turn on the live well.
How good's that?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, we did get that one, and rushed to get the live well on first time.
I mean, it didn't stay in the bag, but it was a win for me.
That's a massive win. No, once to fill that first bag is huge. So, you can then relax and get into it sort of thing. So
definitely. Well, even just get the first fish, there's the donut gone.
That's right.
That's a confidence booster for a start, and then rightio, you work from there. That's
right. And if it's early, like it couldn't have been too late in the morning.
No, it was pretty sure it was still raining.
Fair enough. How'd you get a couple? I see you got two there. So one each.
Yep. So then we ran up in around Oyster Bay. So a couple of little spots in around there that I like, hoping while the water was high. Pulled another one pretty much as we were rolling into, like in the middle of nowhere, flicked the sprat, which I was throwing at that point. Pretty much just, it would have ended, I don't know, 20 metres off any structure or anything, and twitch, clunk. I went, oh, look at that, and got a bream in the middle of nowhere, which the area does produce. There's a lot of food, a lot of jelly prawns in that zone. And sort of another one where fill you with hopes, and I'm pretty sure that was the only bream we got from that area.
Okay.
But then on the way out, fished some pontoons, some jetties, and a bit of structure heading out, which we were able to fill our bag. Not with big fish.
Yeah.
Not with big bream anyway, but through there sort of started scoping and was able to pinpoint some clusters of fish and whatnot, and pretty much just ground away and got a small bag pretty much within the next hour or so.
Probably 9 o'clock, I reckon we had the bag.
Yeah. So that, like you said before, that's a confidence boost. You can then kick on and go, right, we're going to do whatever we're going to do to upgrade this bag.
That's it. So with the numbers of fish, like there was a few fish through the area, they were a bit smaller, but it was right. We'll just persist and sort of got to another point, and it is inside the bay, so there's no flow in this area. I know one fish of mention was flick into a pontoon and get the tick and then hook this thing that goes screaming out past us. It's like, oh, that felt like a bream. And then it sort of went a bit faster and faster. It was like, oh, it kind of feels more like a trevally. So no head shakes, no the notorious head bumps from the trev, but it's like started arcing like a big bream. It's like, oh, I was living in hope, but then this massive trevally appears. So it's just like Jaws coming out of the water.
Yep.
And at that point I was committed to catch it, so I didn't just bust it off like I normally would. Say it was sort of the size of the net, so it was probably 50-odd centimetre trevally on 2-pound fluoro. Which, yeah, it was a bit of fun.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you answered one of my questions when you were back in Oyster Bay. There, I was thinking, I wonder if you were fishing 2-pound, and I'd say you probably were.
I was fishing 2-pound over the oyster-covered rocks as well.
Right, living dangerously. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, the water's clear, so with my whole mindset on that is hook the fish, get the bite, hook the fish, worry about how you're going to catch it after that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much stretch and strength is in 2 and 3 pound fluoro, where you can utilise the boat. Like, it helps being at the pointy end of the boat, not the back.
Yeah.
But you can utilise the boat to be able to drag them away from structure. I find if you go harder on a fish, it's going to go harder on you. So if you hook it, keep the weight on it, use the weight of the boat, the bend in the rod, the stretch in the line, get it clear of structure, you can actually rest a bit easier and whatnot. Yeah, you're never going to catch every fish.
That's right, yeah.
It's nice when you do, but you're never going to catch every fish.
Yeah.
And, I've caught some fantastic fish on 2 pound.
Yes. Very, very good. All right. You've got your full bag. How'd you go about upgrading that? How'd you find some bigger ones? Because you must have got a couple of good ones.
I guess from there we changed tack a little bit and headed further east, headed into Cogra Bay.
Okay.
Probably stuffed around a bit there on the flats for a while. There was probably, there's 3 other boats in there.
Yeah, there were definitely 3 other down the back flat, which there were some good fish, bags caught from there as well.
Yeah. Sometimes that holds big fish up the back there.
Yeah. And I'd fished there during the Hobie, so I kind of had a bit of an idea there was definitely fish around. So we kind of fished the flats for a while through what did we throw, cranks and sprats and a bit of everything there.
Yep.
And did you key in on anything?
I don't think we actually got anything on that flat. I don't remember.
No, it was a couple of flathead from memory.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that was about all. We didn't go right down the back because that's where the other boats were.
Yeah.
They were sort of working circles and whatnot. So figured it was getting a good touch up. So just stayed up on the reef in that area just at the start of the back. The live scope had fish moving, but yeah, just nothing that really was interested in what we were throwing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So from the back of the bay there, what you get up to find a couple?
Then we moved over into the boat. Mick got fish on the boats, I think, the week before.
Yep.
We sort of worked our way through the boats. Mick was throwing, I think, the stick minnow, stick bait, and I was throwing the discontinued BioTough squid fish in bloodworm this time. Normally it's pumpkin seed, but in bloodworm.
Right.
Which is probably my favourite lure on the boats. It seems to, get the bites for me. Which we started to pick up a few fish. The sounder was just covered in fish. Like, there was so many fish in around the boats at all different levels, but really shut down, really lockjaw. Yeah, I think we both got a couple of upgrades, small upgrades in that instance. And then I think the last fish off there was about a 31 fork. There was just so many fish, just free swimming, just schooled up in there. It was quite amazing.
Yeah, okay. Tell me about the lure. So the BioTough, as we know, has been off the market for a little while. The squid, so it's a squidgy fish in 50 mil?
70 mil. It's a BioTough, so I think it's 70 mil long. Paddle tail. So, and just with like a 1/20th jig head, it's enough just to give the vibration on the drop.
Okay.
to me, that's the key with it. It's a subtle, like they do have a large tail, so they do give a fairly good vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a whole different range on the markets with different brands. All would do a similar thing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, sure. And when you fish it, if you fish it on the boat, are you sort of slack line or rod up trying to feel it, or how do you manage that?
Well, it depends on the day. For me, it's like you obviously want the lure to land as close to the boat. And generally, like I don't mind fishing 3 points of the boat, front, back and middle. We quite often we'd sort of compete for the middle cast on the keel because that we all know that's the best spot.
Yeah.
But it just depends on how the fish are. Like some days you get a nice plunk they grab it on the drop. For me, it was they'd pick it up and just start swimming away with it. Like you didn't really feel the bite. It was just pick it up and just watch the line start to move.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm assuming, like Mick, he was throwing the stick bait, assuming it was doing something similar for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's generally how I fish a boat anyway, just that slack line, and then you wind it up and you got weight and you bring it up.
Yeah, so you're fishing like the 40 or 38 mil stick bait, depending on which one.
Yeah, the one that Adam has at fishing.com, his little prawn colour one.
Yeah, okay. And are you on straight through with that as well?
That one, yeah, 3 pound. Yeah.
3 pound? Okay. Okay, cool.
Not quite 2 pound like Chase, but we're getting there.
Yeah. I was going to say, Morgo told me something the other day. He's like, if you fish 3 pound, if you go to 2 pound, it's 50% less.
That's right.
So, big number.
You get 70% more bites. So go figure, go the math.
Exactly. So there you go. All right. So you see you got a 31 forker there. So that's obviously a decent upgrade.
Definitely. That was, from there it was like, oh, okay, there's better fish around. But I think that was our last fish off the boat.
Mm.
And that's when it started raining again, from memory.
Nice. Yep. I was on the bank with Grant and we were watching the storms come over and I thought, they're going to miss us. They're going to miss it, and it just came.
Yep.
All right. Where'd you head off to? Did you go and hit the bridges at all?
No. We drove past the bridges. That's not my style of fishing. I was actually surprised there were no boats on the bridge. We went from there into Woolooware.
Okay.
That was when we come out of Oyster Bay. It was had to look, assess the current and all that. It's like, rightio. I didn't think there was enough current running out at that stage of the tide. So Woolooware, it was like, well, it's all or nothing in there. It can be all or nothing. So that was probably our best strategy for the day.
Okay. And were you in the racks, or you over the boulders, or up the back?
Oh, no. I was in the sticks. I got some lovely new scratches on the boat. Low tide, so you can see all the sticks at least.
Yep.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, no. There's still a lot on the bottom that we donated a fair bit of gear to the bottom and to fish in there. But, yeah, it was something else. Like, pulled, I think the first fish off the sticks that we were fishing was about a 34 forker or something. And, yeah, and it was just before that storm hit. Like,
right.
It was, we're watching it build up over the airport, just east of the airport. It's like, that's going offshore. Nah, we were wrong. But, yeah, it was just hook and muscle them out. It's the exact polar opposite to what I was doing with the 2 pound.
Okay. So run me through that. What sort of gear are you running for that?
With that one, so 6 pound braid, 6 pound leader.
Okay.
Locked up drag. And like I'm fairly comfortable with 6 pound leader. Like not one fish pulled a drag in there.
Okay.
For me. And with that, and that's on a 2500 twin power. So about 9 kilos of drag on that.
Yep. So plenty of drag.
Plenty of drag to play with. Obviously, the drag's not locked up to a point that if they didn't get their head and they certainly pull some line, but it's a matter of not giving them the opportunity.
Yeah. And is that sort of like hook the fish and then hold the rod up and wind like crazy? Is that what you're talking about, or not so much?
Pretty much. And generally, I think when I do it, I think I'm a bit of hooting and hollering. A fair bit of noise comes out of me when I'm fighting fish like that. And a lot of it's Mick, net.
But most of the time, by the time I get the net, he's already just like got the fish flying across the top of the water and then it's skipping into the boat.
Yeah, right.
I think I caught one mid-air, put it that way.
That was the biggest one out of there, which was a 36 forker.
Nice. So that's a kilo fish. So if you can turn that on 6 pound without run and drag, that's pretty decent going.
Yeah. There were a lot that I didn't get out with the same scenario.
Sure.
Some looked a lot bigger than that, but all they have to do is get the head. If they get the head, you really struggle, especially with the cluster of sticks in there, the amount of barnacles and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of luck involved, I guess.
Definitely. And what was your lure of choice in there?
Oh, the sprat once again.
Fair enough.
I did start on the crab and I got a few bites. I lost a couple good ones on the crab, and then I was like, that's cost me too much money. I'm just going to change to the sprat.
Yeah.
Yeah, very expensive.
But I'd assume, like, if you're fishing, say, Jace on the front of the boat, Mick's on the back, if you're fishing in the sticks down there, probably gives you both pretty even opportunity to fish. Would that be fair?
That's why I sort of went in there. Like, we were skirting the outside initially, and with that, obviously at the front of the boat, you got an advantage because you've got that first cast at all the poles.
Yeah.
The fish we found weren't on the outside poles; they were inside, a little bit deeper, and generally, if there was a cluster of poles.
Yeah.
So if there was just one pole by itself, no. But if there were two close together, there was a good chance. If there was three close together, there was probably an 80% chance there was a fish on it.
Yeah.
And with the wind that was blowing before the storm hit, it was like really like, obviously I want to look after my boat. So it was pretty much finding the right areas to be able to go in to give both of us the best opportunity as deep in as we could without sort of scratching the hell out of everything.
Yeah.
Even I remember Mick saying at one stage, "Oh, we really are going right in here."
I was happy. When did I get a chance to have a shot?
Well, that's the idea. Like, that's why you do it. And the advantage of when it was teeming with rain was the wind went, so I could have a free run. I could drive in there and feel confident that I wasn't going to destroy my boat.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
also
fair.
Precision driving. There was a lot of that is just like between the tiniest of gap, and you just get it through there.
Yeah. What what electric you run on the front?
I got the Garmin Force.
Okay, and how do you go with that? Like, are you good at it? I guess.
Oh, I think I go all right. I reckon I could reverse park my boat.
Okay.
So with the conditions, obviously the conditions of current have a lot to do with it. But yeah, like Mick said, like there was something. So he goes, "Oh, the pole, this, that, the other," and you miss it by 20 or 30 mil.
Yeah.
It helps in a situation like that with no wind and no current. It's a lot easier than when there's wind and or current. So
yeah.
But yeah, we're in as deep as, like, I think there was only about 1.5 foot of water under the trench juice.
Okay.
Like we're right in.
Right in. No,
right in.
Very, very cool.
Mick he fought a bit of earth for a while there. Got a few big clusters of mussels out of there as well.
Yeah, nice.
It was nice, and that was on his crab, so it was nice to save a couple of crabs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair enough. And I'd say, Mick, you would have been in there in your kayak, I'd imagine.
Well, I've only fished in there like 3 times.
Really?
Once was with that time with you, and then only a couple other times. But now I'm definitely going back in there to explore more.
That's where I first met you, because I was like, I recognised the kayak, and I figured, you must fish there all the time.
That was literally my first time. So
that's his Shimano kayak.
Yeah, this is a Shimano kayak.
Yeah, thought so.
Brought to you by Daiwa. All right. Did that sort of round out the day? Is that where we finished up?
That was it. Yeah, that was, we landed probably, and the beauty of it, I think the last fish was, Mick got the last fish was 32 or 33 fork,
nice.
And he got rid of that 31 fork that we had in earlier. That was the smallest fish. So that was, we pretty much everything we went into Woolooware Bay with, we actually got rid of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
that's really...
And it doesn't happen very often in there. And for me, my experience in there in a tournament is you might get 1 or 2 bites of the better fish. Just to be able to upgrade a whole bag was something surreal. And it was a new set of poles that I've never fished before as well. So it was just spur of the minute, right decision at the right time.
Yeah, okay. It worked well. Very, very good. All right. I reckon that's a great account of the fishing. Third place, what did you guys get to take home?
$940, I think it was.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, not a bad day out.
Very, very good. Very good. To add to your last one, been a good year so far.
Yeah, 2 podiums in 2 rounds. That's pretty awesome. You don't get to do that too often. So yeah, that's really good.
100%. Very good.
I don't get to do that ever. So this is awesome.
You've had a good month, mate. You had a 9th in the Hobie, which in the Hobies, it's pretty hard to do now.
It has been a good month, yeah.
And then, then a podium here with the with the New South Wales tournaments. It's pretty great.
No, definitely. Could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. Could be so much worse. All right. Look, last thing, guys, before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
I'll start. Yeah, obviously I want to thank Grant and the team for putting on the event. I think he's doing a fantastic effort, learning each round and developing what's going to turn into an absolutely great series in the years to come. Secondly, I want to obviously thank Shimano for the ongoing support they provide me and have done for a lot of years. You, Deethy, you're advertising the sport as well, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
So, and obviously Mick for putting up with me out in the water.
I'd like to thank Jace for just allowing me to come on board and, showing me what he does, and it's been awesome. I think, Deethy, also thank you to you. I probably wouldn't even be involved if it wasn't for the podcast, to be honest. So, thanks for everything that you do as well.
Likewise. Both of you guys are great. And, I appreciate you coming on and sharing. It was really good to have a chat. So, thank you. Good night, guys.
Hope to do it again next month.
Right there with you. All right. Have a good night, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers, Dave.
Okay, so next up in second place, we have a team dropping their fish weighing 4.32. On the line, I have hooked up DTH Plumbing, Daniel and Stephen. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. So you guys had a very, very nice weekend with a little bit of rain, but caught a couple of good ones.
Yeah, we did. We started off, we didn't do any pre-fish.
It's okay. So no pre-fish? All right.
No pre-fish. So we just sort of had a discussion on the phone where we want to sort of start, and because we fished it a few times, and then we went there into Woolooware at the start of the comp, and then we didn't do any well at all. So we only went that way because of the tide, and then we just did terrible, and then so we left, and then Steve made the decision, hey, why don't we go and fish some waters that we'd already fished and upriver, and then so we did that, and that started from there.
Okay, and with you guys, what do you guys like to fish as a team? Are you guys like structurally like pontoons and docks or flats or deep, or what do you like?
I would say our most confident are on flat.
Okay, and when you say flats, do you mean like Towra or do you mean upriver on the sort of mud flats and that sort of stuff?
Mainly mud flats. So anything in 1.5 meters lower.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so you jumped out of Woolooware Bay, like as we said before we hit record, like it's a bit of a wet start for the boys just before I think the briefing, like it chucked it down.
Yeah, bucketed down.
Yeah, I was saying I was not there. I was at home and I could hear it hitting the roof. It tells me that it's really chucking it. So,
and it was quite a cold morning too. It wasn't just the wind and then the rain and then the cool morning. It wasn't ideal.
Yeah. All right. So you duck into Woolooware Bay and then you head upriver. How'd you go about catching a couple?
We just heading in Cogra, near Cogra Bay, and there's a milk run that we tend to do. We start around where the moored boats are, and we're just throwing plastics around mainly as the lure of choice in that area. The main lure that we found that was the 2.7 slim swim in bloodwork.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually it's mainly grubs and shrimps and stuff, but just seen a lot of bait fish swimming around. Dan's got a live scope, so we've seen a lot of fish swimming around, and it just decided to run more of a fish than a prawn or a grub style.
So we'll go back to you, Daniel. So you're starting to talk about grubs, I think.
Oh yeah, it was a slow morning. Obviously, when we were in Cogra Bay, there's a few other boats around, and then you speak to them and stuff, and they said, "Oh, we got your bag," and they all said yes. Only little fish though.
Yeah,
and that was sort of in about 8:30, and then I think we got 3 pretty quick. Once about when we got in there, and one being just under a kilo.
Okay,
and then we sort of fished that. We got our 5 fish there. Or we sort of fished there from say 8:30 till about 11.
Yeah.
And then we got our fish, and we got decent sized fish. Like it was a couple of smaller ones, a couple of 600 grammers in there that were like our 2 smallest fish, just under 600 grams, 560, I think.
Yeah.
And then we just sort of went quiet, and the fish weren't active as much on the live scope. And it sort of went a bit quiet on the live scope and the fish weren't as active. So I actually said to Steve, let's go, let's get out of here just in case. And then we went upriver to Como and fished a couple of docks and the bridge and stuff. And we got a couple of fish there, but nothing drastic. But then Steve made...
nothing bigger than...
Yeah, nothing bigger than we had, yeah.
Okay. How did you find the fish? Like, if you're fishing in Cogra, you're fishing plastics, like, was it aggressive? Was it slow? Or how'd you end up getting them to bite?
It was pretty much a slow hop, really. Yeah, slow hop and a slow roll. The fish were... We've seen them on live scope. They were reacting to more of a little slow hop. Then if you move it too fast, they'll just scatter.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, that's one of the advantages of the live scope, being able to see how they react to it and adjust your retrieve to suit it. It's a bit of a game changer, I guess.
You can just see what's going on. Like, it's just... But our big fish, like, Como was pretty quiet and stuff. So, and then Steve said, I think we should go back to Cogra. I said, whatever, let's go, mate. Look, like it. And so we went back. And then we're obviously fishing in there with Stephen Nadeski and then Dave Masters. And then we left first when we've all left. And then when we come back, it was like the morning again. Like, it was like we turned up, and then within 5 minutes later, Stephen Nadeski turned back up. And then 10 minutes after that, Dave Masters turned back up in the afternoon. So, and we started a bit further out this time and then worked our way in. But that's when a lot of our big fish was they were on straight away.
Okay.
Like, it was just a clunk and that was it. And then Steve got a 1.24, 1.2425 or something when we first got back in there. And then we just upgraded everything else. We just couldn't get... We had so much fish. We lost a lot of fish.
Okay.
And a lot of big fish and big fish on the side of the boat and stuff like that, just spitting. Like, it was so funny. Like, it was just... We were laughing half the time because it was just like, oh, well, another one gone. But
wow.
So we had to... Saying this, we probably would have had the winning fish there several times over.
Wow.
Because we only had to upgrade a 560, so.
Yeah, that's right. And you weren't much behind anyway.
No, 120 grams, I think.
That's right. It doesn't take much to upgrade a 560 to, that much. So.
No. And the fish were there. Like, they were.
Okay. And with you guys, are you what sort of line class are you using? You going really light, or how are you fishing for them?
I was on 4 pound leader. And then 1/16th jighead.
Okay. Very good. Did that end your sort of day in Cogra Bay? Was that kind of it?
Yeah, we fished there till, and I think it was about just after about 1:45. And fishery, the maritime was in there. So I said, Steve, I think we should leave because we'll know on our luck we'll get pulled over or something for a check. So, and we got to leave enough time for that just in case that happens. So, but no, he was just watching us all fish in there and stuff, and he left us all alone, which was good. But
yeah, no. To be honest, when you're on both Botany Bay and Hacking, there's times where you get pulled over every day you're out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is all right. It's good to see them on the water. One thing I wanted to make comment on, like, I've been fishing the back of Cogra Bay for years with just sort of your traditional sonar, but with the forward facing, it must give you the option to target those fish a little bit more. Whereas normally you'd go up there and you'd blind cast. Does that sound fair?
Oh, definitely. Like, you can see exactly where they are. And there was a lot of fish. And that's why we made the decision to leave at 11 o'clock, because they moved. And then obviously we were sort of just trying to follow them around and stuff, but they just sort of scattered. Like, it was very odd. But considering what we got there, that's why we decided to go back there in the afternoon. But definitely the live scope made a big difference with where you cast it and stuff, like, because obviously when you can see the schools of fish or a big chunk of fish, you're just throwing that way. You're not throwing any other way. So, and we always made the joke, are you trying to steal my fish? Because obviously we're casting in the same direction. And yeah, it's quite funny. We're just joking all day because we're nearly casting over the top of each other.
Yeah, right. Well, you're both, like, you've gone the big Phoenix, so you're both on the front deck?
Yeah, we fished the front deck. It doesn't worry us. It's just get in there, get it done. It's a team's event. It's not a...
Yeah.
But just get in there, get it done, and whoever takes the trolling motor goes first or whatever, and it doesn't worry. It's like, it's just...
Yeah, it's a team's event.
Yeah.
Very, very good. All right. I think you fished the slim swims and some grubs. Is there anything else that played a role in the day?
And then the Rapala suspect. Suspect, was it? No, imposter.
Imposter. Okay. Yeah, is that the shadow or the grub?
What was it? I think it was the smaller paddle tail out of the Rapala Crush Cities.
That's the best way to say it because I can't remember.
Yeah, I think.
So, yeah. Okay. So all similar sort of baits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve started with grubs and stuff, and we weren't probably getting the fish. I just happened to put it on because I just seen a heap of bait fish, and I thought, oh, yeah, this might be a little bit too big. And that's when I threw and got just under a kilo fish. So, yeah, that's when. And I've got a couple more, and then Steve said to me, don't make me change to a slim swim. And then he'd end up changing, and that's when it was just all over for me because he's just a nut when it comes to plastics. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think the imposter's the prawn.
It has to be the suspect.
Yeah.
The suspect. Well, there you go.
Yeah. The imposter is the prawn. Yeah, it's the suspect in the whiting colour.
Okay. Very cool. I reckon that's pretty good, guys. Look, it was enough to bring you back with 4.32. So just ahead of Team Shimano and just a little bit behind the other boys, behind the other plumbers. Yeah. What did you guys get to take home for second place?
We got $1,550.
Nice. Very good. All right. And look, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, I'll just shout out to Dane from Zeus Tackle. Obviously, we got a very good friendship with Dane and he's a good mate, so he just looks after us pretty well at the shop. So down there at Camden, and obviously our missuses for let us fish all the time. Have to thank them pretty well because we fish a fair bit. So what about you, Steve?
Yeah, same as them. Yeah, Zeus Tackle, Dane. Yeah, like he's a good mate of ours. We like supporting his shop. He supports us fishing. So, yeah, I'd like to say thanks.
Definitely. And his little shop out there at Camden, I've noticed that it's become a lot more full over the last sort of 12, 18 months or whatever it's been that he's been open. So.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there now. And it's becoming a bit of a local hangout as well. So it's good because we just go there and talk a bit of banter and stuff and a joke around, and which is cool. But it's not just a shop; it's just it's a hangout for and catch up with fellas and have good yak. So it's good.
Very, very good. All right. Well, look, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you guys sharing. Yeah, good luck in the next couple of rounds.
Thank you.
No worries.
Righto, so now we move in to first place, and with us I have a team, and they dropped their fish weighing an even 4.44, including bream of 1.35. With me from Rise Above Plumbing, or Team Rise Above Plumbing, I have Glenn and Sean. Welcome to the show, guys.
G'day.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having us on.
Well, I think this is the second or third time we've spoken. Last time I think you're in second place on the basin. This time you're in first place. And once again, there's one constant here. No Mark Crompton.
I'll let you answer that, Glenn.
Well, he did have a little part to play in the pre-fish when we talk about pre-fish, but yeah, no Mark.
Okay.
Let's just say if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. So let's just say that.
Oh, that's probably fair. Where was he? He was the other side of the country, fishing in the ABT.
ABT WA, yep.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, let's go into pre-fish. Botany Bay or Georges River. Do you guys fish that at all much, or how's that run for you guys?
Yeah, like it used to be my local, and kind of still is my local, being from the sort of Campbelltown, Camden, Narellan area. Lots of years chasing dewies and stuff in there. From where I used to live before I moved out here, it was probably only like a 35-minute drive to a boat ramp on the Georges, so pretty much the local. Yeah, Cromo and I been fishing it for over 20 years, pretty much. We did go for a pre-fish, so we always used to, like, back in the day, we always used to like going 2 weeks before the tournament. Obviously, you've got pre-fish bans and all that sort of stuff, but 2 weeks before the tide is pretty much identical to tournament day. And we actually found it was quite really, really similar in that the high tide in the morning was a very low high tide.
Yep.
And it was pretty much the same on comp day as well. So we started up at the national park near Reevesby. We put in the boat ramp there. We haven't used that in years, actually.
Yeah, it's not a bad ramp.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You got to pay to park there, but it's not too bad. Not as bad as like Pittwater or something.
That's right.
But yeah, so we started chucking dewy lures straight off the boat ramp from there. We just wanted to go for a dew early, but on the pre-fish, but didn't have any luck there, and we started heading down river. We went right down the front. We actually went into Sylvania waters, into the Keys.
Mm-hmm.
There's an area we've done all right before. I think got a couple of sort of podiums in kayak comps and stuff in there as well. Cromo pulled out a baby vibe in fishing.com colour. And he had a little plastic bag full of 5 of them, pulled one of those out and threw it at the first jetty on the way into Sylvania waters and pulled a kilo fish. And we had to, we was wrapped around a rope and everything, but we still got it in.
Wow.
It's a kilo fish. And then we went into Sylvania and threw sort of grubs and that lure around, and we probably got 4 or 5 fish in Sylvania waters in the Keys. And we thought, okay, well, that would be a spot on comp day.
Mm.
And then we went sort of around different areas. We went out in the flat, had a look, didn't see a bream out there, but we came across a massive school of salmon, like big models, like 4 kilo model salmon, which was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
There's a reef out on the other side of the oil refinery that probably most people know about. We throw crabs on a reef in the middle there, and I think we got 1 or 2 and lost a few crabs, but nothing to say, oh, that's a definite spot.
Mm.
But yeah, we came across some boats on the pre-fish, and the Lowrance ActiveTarget is pointed at the boats, and you just see like lots of fish in this one section of boats.
Mm.
Anyway, that was our takeaway from the pre-fish. And that's all we had to go off. Sean and I, we couldn't fish the day before on the day you're allowed to pre-fish, so we just turned up with that knowledge from 2 weeks before.
Yeah, right. I was interested to see you didn't get any out at the Tower Flats. I thought you would get a couple of bream out there. You know, even if there's not lots, you usually get a couple.
Yeah, it's pretty dead. It looked good. Again, there wasn't a lot of wind. We really like to fish the flats with some wind, a bit like when we spoke to you, Deethy, from that second place on the basin. That was a flats day for us where we did all right. We love fishing really shallow. But yeah, it really wasn't anything there. I don't know whether the salmon sort of scared them away, because it was a big school of salmon and they were really aggressive and active. Like, they were on the surface and you could see them finning out of the water. And
yeah, wow.
Yeah, and they were big. They were literally like 60 to 70 centimetre models. Yeah.
Big salmon for here.
Yeah, they definitely come in from outside. But yeah, nothing on the flats. I mean, to be honest, those flats haven't really worked for us on a tournament for a long time. Back in the day, he used to do really well out there, but I think they get pretty flogged these days.
Yeah. Likewise, I've been a local, I fished out there a bit, but I don't think I've gone there in a tournament in more than 10 years.
Mm.
All I keep hearing about Deethy is these days of him and Cromo going out the flat and just braining these fish. And every time I've been there, we've caught some, but nothing like that. And I just want to have one of those days out there, because it's, I suppose it's like the flats up here at Lake Macquarie. You know, I remember back in the day, those days where you just go out there and throw 75, 85 sammies and you're pulling 40 centimetre bream off the flats, hand over fist. Now you're out there and you struggle to get a fish. But yeah, I'd love to have a session out there with the boys, and especially because I've heard so much about it and been such a good flat. So
yeah, we can't help ourselves though, Deethy. So even on tournament day, we still went out there. The wind actually got up a bit from the south, and we thought, oh, stuff it, let's go out there and have a look. Even though it didn't work on pre-fish, we just can't help ourselves. And we went out there. It was probably like half a drift, and the issue was the wind was protected because it was like due south. Those trees that are on that flat, they just blocked the wind. So we had no wind. We were running on the electric, couldn't see any bait. We cast for like 10 minutes, got nothing. We just made the decision, which was the right one, just get out of there. It's just still not working. Let's go.
Yeah. That was your first stop like that. And I think just before the kickoff in the morning, you would have got hosed on the way in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, there's big rainstorm that sort of came in. But our first stop on tournament day was actually in the Keys.
Okay.
With the learnings that we had from the pre-fish, I was talking it up with Shauno. Mate, like, get ready, this first pontoon. We always do really well on this one pontoon on the way in. It's just, I don't know, but I don't think we even got a bite in there, did we, Sean? It was really shut down. And our conclusion to that theory was everyone must have smashed it on pre-fish, we think. Yeah, so it didn't work for us.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so you ducked into Sylvania waters. Where'd you head off to after that? Was that to Terra?
You tell them.
Well, as Glenn just elaborated, like he talked up the Keys that much that the Keys were going to put our bag together, and then we're just going to go and chase big fish all afternoon. And we literally come out of the Keys without getting a bite, and a massive seal. The other thing was there was a massive seal, which I think Rossi said was there 2 weeks earlier on pre-fish at the entrance to the Keys. So we also put it down to there's something lurking around out the front there, so they're probably a bit scared to move around too much. So pretty much we come out of the Keys, and Rossi just said, let's go out onto the flat straight out the front here on the boats and straight out the front of the Keys. And literally that's where we went. We went straight out there and just started working the boats out the front, because that was where the boys had seen them on the live scan and live scope. And yeah, as soon as we went out there, we saw fish. It was just, I suppose it took us a little bit of time to work them out because we were fishing fairly light, fairly high on the boats. You could see them, but they weren't biting, and it wasn't until sort of a third of the way into the boats, we sort of realised that getting it down, letting it get down in their face right at the bottom on the ground where the fish were on the bottom is when, we started to find the fish.
Okay, and what were your lures of choice? Like, how were you targeting them?
Yeah, we're running the Bait Junkie grub in I can't think of colour, whatever colour green it is, but bloodworm, whatever it is they have. And yeah, we use those on a 20th, and we just sort of work through our different weight ranges to get the speed right. Later in the day, Glenn ended up going to a slightly heavier jighead because he found that there was a bit more of a reaction bite later in the day. But in that first run through, we're just running the 20th and grubs, and I think it was about 5 or 6 boats in. Glenn got one, and literally he'd hooked his, he was dealing with his, it was still in the net. Next thing you know, I'm fishing another boat and just got clunked, and that was the big one. It hit me in the first sort of hour and a half, 2 hours of the day.
Wow.
I got the big one, yeah.
Second fish on a grub under a boat.
Yeah, and then I think our third fish was a 1.02 as well.
Yeah.
The grubs, there was a very sort of clear pattern. They were hanging around the mooring rope and the mooring block at the front of the boat, and they were biting off the bottom. They weren't like sort of hitting it up next to the hull. They were literally eating it off the bottom.
Yeah, right.
How we saw them sort of eat all day, yeah.
Yeah, so you were able to watch them on the ActiveTarget, is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cheating.
I like it. It's cheating. But I assume Cromo's got that boat dialed in perfectly. I'd imagine he's pretty good with that stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Albie's boat. He's young fella. Albie's, his little fella's definitely got it dialed in. It's an amazing, it's a very, very nice tinny. It's got a power pole move on it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're worth, but I think they're the best electric motor on the market. It's just dead quiet. We've got a 12-inch and a 9-inch Lowrance screen running ActiveTarget up the front. We did throw it into the 2 different modes, and we found the vertical mode towards the end of the day was quite good because we're pointing it straight at the anchor rope, and literally you could see boats with no fish on them as well. But yeah, they were very active. There was lots of fish there, and you could see them sort of follow it down to the bottom, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Sounds like a good start to the day. Obviously, the canals went very good for you, but being able to pull a couple of good fish, you've got nearly 2.5 kilos for 2 fish plus whatever the other one was. Pretty good start.
I think the first one, it was a 29 forker, Glenn. I think, wasn't it, the first one? The first one you got was like 29 fork. So we were sitting there talking about it, saying, "Look, we've got that high 2s already. So we're high 2s with 3 fish, and yeah, it was a great start."
Yeah, very good. All right. How'd you go about filling your bag out?
We got a couple of 26, like I think we had one 26.1 and 26.3.
Yep.
It was amateur hour because we didn't actually have a ruler on board except for a brag mat. So we're actually measuring all our fish on a brag mat, and obviously that's not as very accurate when you're trying to squeak a 26.1 tipper in.
Yep.
But once they got way bigger than that, we didn't have to worry too much. But yeah, so we did have 226 just on in the boat as well to get our limit. Then we went across to Cogra Bay with all the boats across there. It was a logical next move, right? Boats were working. That bay has a lot of boats, but it's also quite popular as well. So we went in there. I think we saw at least one, if not two boats, competing boats already on those boats. And then as we were in there fishing them, I reckon we saw 3 more boats come in and go right up to the back of those moored boats as well. Did we get a fish out of there, Sean? I can't remember. I don't think we got a fish out of there. I think it was pretty shut down.
No, we dropped. At that stage, I was using the baby vibe in Adam Costa's colour and got a few hits, and I had one on for a little bit and dropped it. But yeah, we got a few hits, but nothing we boated. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. With the colour, the baby vibe, is that the black one?
No,
it's like a green with like a couple of stripes on it. Yeah, it's I don't know the colour name, but it's like a light green sort of back with stripes down the side of it. Yeah,
it's see-through as well.
Yeah,
Still, I think.
Yeah, it's a greeny colour and greeny back on it.
So we did drop a few fish throughout the day, both of us, and a couple where you're going, big head shape, you're going, this is another good one, and then all of a sudden just release the hook. I don't know, some of the hits were a bit funny, a bit timid. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so there must have been a couple of reasonable upgrades. So you fished Cogra Bay without any real success. Where'd you head off to?
I think that's when we went out to the flat out the front and said, we'll give that a go. But we only spent 10 minutes out there and came straight back. And I said, all right, well, let's go upriver. There's a couple of spots upriver. By now, the tide was well and truly on its way out. It was only a low high tide as well, so it didn't have a lot to run. Went to a rock wall in Illawong, which is actually where I used to live back in the day.
Yeah, right.
And there's a section of boat, like pontoons and jetties on a run-out tide where you can just drift along and adjust the boat, cast at the jetty on one side and let it sink underneath with the run-out tide.
Yeah.
Cromer and I did that on pre-fish, and we often fish that spot. It's not really a secret spot or anything, but we got a few on pre-fish there. We actually got one upgrade there. I think we went from a 26 to a 27.
Okay.
So it was like a centimetre upgrade. It was like, okay, well, that move was worth it.
Yeah.
I think we then went and did that stretch again with no luck. And at that point, we were both pretty solid on the next move, which was to go back to the original set of boats again.
Yeah, right.
Rested for long enough, and we went back to Sylvania to the same set of boats again. And it turned on big time.
Really?
Yeah. I adjusted my weight from a 1/16th to a 1/20th. So I thought they were just more active and they'd sort of watch it go past them quicker and maybe react a bit differently. But we both upgraded those smaller fish in the bag about 3 or 4 times each, just small little upgrades. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So you found that, so you adjusted your weight heavier or lighter? I didn't get that bit.
Heavier, yeah.
Heavier. So you get it to the bottom quicker, and obviously you reckon a reaction was better on that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I suppose we had a 2-prong attack too. We had, so Rossi went to the slightly heavier. I stayed on the 20th, and then I also jumped back to the baby vibe again, and we worked that sort of pattern, just one a bit lighter, one a bit heavier, and just see what was taken in the end. I suppose when we first got back there, yeah, Rossi sort of pinned a couple, and then when that, I suppose the big thing that changed, it was just like, you have those sessions where the weather changes, it gets a bit dark, it gets a bit rainy, and you just feel something change, and then all of a sudden it was just like the light switch turned on, the barometer hit the right number, and they just went bang, no matter what we threw at them. we actually left the biting. We were actually winding our rods up going, we've got to go. Don't want to, but we've got to go to get back to the weigh-in. So it was just a little session right at the back end there that just, really cemented what we had in the bag.
Yeah, that's fantastic. One more thing with the plastics there. What size hook were you running? Like a number 1 or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And a jig head rather than a hidden weight?
Yep. Yeah, I was running the 120th with the 1.0, and predominantly both of us were, but as Rossi said, he upgraded a little bit with a bit more weight to just try something different.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, those Daiwa bait junkie sort of jig heads, they're so sharp. There's a couple of fish that was so embedded in their jaw, it was really hard to get them out. But like I say, on other occasions, we were pulling hooks on them. They just it was a funny day where there was a number of drop fish that probably we wouldn't normally have, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, very, very good. And look, one thing on the fishing, how heavy were you guys fishing? Were you on like 4 pound leader or something like that?
Yeah, 4 pound.
Yeah, I predominantly run 5, but I had a bit of a combo. I had a couple of rods with 5 and a couple with 4. And for me, I found the big fish come on 4, and actually one of the fish come on the baby vibe was on straight through, on 3 pound straight through. So the second biggest fish, which was over a kilo, it come on 3 pound straight through.
Yeah, that's interesting. I must admit, the baby vibe, I fish it a lot of different ways, but often in the Georges in particular, 3 pound is the go.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let them run.
Yeah, 100%. And it was funny at the back end of the day. I hooked a fish, I think that went like 33, 34 forker in the end. But when it hit, I said we have a bit of a joke. We do a chromo and we have a bit of a joke. It's a giant, and I'm doing it's a giant call. And it just felt heavy, and it felt like exactly like the earlier fish of the day. And I thought, oh no, here we go. This is going to be another scream. I got it up in 34. And Rossi just looked at me and said, "You idiot. You're a fool." That's not big at all. It's just like, nah, sorry, mate.
Fair enough. But was there any coaching on the boat? Were you giving each other some tips?
A little bit.
Well, it's a rule on our boats, right? Even with chromo, that if you're catching them, you're allowed to really talk down to the other guy. Look, mate, you're fishing too fast. You're not casting in the right areas. You got the wrong lure on. You got to really sort of coach the other person, right?
I think so. All I'm seeing is one day somebody's just getting pushed off the boat.
Well, dude, I'll be honest with you. I sat back and when we'd had 3 fish in the boat and I had probably 2 fish over a kilo, I was thinking to myself, do I start coaching him now or it's just going to rub a bit too much salt into the wound? So I went easy on him this time around, but the coaching is a big thing in our team. It's you got to make sure you're ragging on your mate if he's not catching them. So
I was going to say, that's why I reckon someone's getting pushed in, because it's like if he's really firing you up and then someone's having to go at you as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. All in all, it sounds like a pretty good day for you guys. You've come back with the biggest bag and the win. Tell us, what did you get to take home for this one?
2,800 cash, and Sean, got the big bream prize pack. What was in that, Sean?
Oh, mate, a heap of bait junkie, a heap of Daiwa stuff. There was some leader, some 3 pound leader. It was a good little kit from fishing.com from Adam. It was great. That's a good little thing, mate. Yeah, it was full of all bits of pieces and all sorts of goodies. So hard bodies, everything. So soft plastic hard body jig heads, a couple of different rubber or plastic crabs, which I'd never seen before. So it'd be interesting to give them a crack and see how they go. So yeah, that was a good pack. Good pack.
Very, very good. All right, guys. Look, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
I suppose for me, being a part of the team with both Rossi and Cromo, and I think, as we know, Cromo puts a lot into the sport, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be able to fish these tournaments out of a boat when he's not here and fishing his boat. So firstly, which is Albie's boat, as we know, it's owned by Albie. Cromo claims it, but it is Albie's boat. So yeah, so big hats off to Cromo for what he does to get us out fishing, mate, and do that sort of stuff and whatnot. So yeah, and to Rossi, mate, those 2 guys standing next to you on the boat at different times and fishing, you couldn't ask for a better partner on the boat, and also, yeah, the fun you have on the boat with those guys, it's sensational. It makes a bad day good if you have a bad day.
Cheers, mate. And yeah, like I sort of back that up. Thanks to Cromo and Rise Above Plumbing for entering us this year. Like I said, the power pole move on the front of the tinny is an epic electric motor. So quiet. It's just about as good as you can get. And the Lowrance ActiveTarget, like we used that throughout the pre-fish. Literally, we pulled onto those fish on the pre-fish with Cromos, like, look at this. And the whole boats were just lit up with literally dozens, if not 100 fish under a couple of those boats. So that just led us there on tournament day. And we pulled up to them again on tournament day and they were just there. So the ActiveTarget, just sensational. I'm still sort of getting used to how to use it. So I don't use it all the time. But yeah, it's all, you can see why in the US they have tournaments where you're not allowed to use it, because it's a definite advantage. And if you don't have it on your boat these days, you're just kind of a step behind, I think. And that's coming from a couple of old fellas with glasses on that fished on with black and white sounders back in the day.
Yeah. How good is that? And I want to just tell the listeners, because some people won't be aware. So when you say it's Alvy's boat, Alvy is what, maybe 6?
Yeah.
6?
Yeah. He's in kindy this year. So yeah, he's got a tinny worth, I don't know, it's got to be like 40 grand's worth of tinny, I reckon, with all the electronics and everything.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, guys. Well, look, congratulations on what was it?
Yeah, just one quick one, Dookie, just before we go. Just diver, mate. Like, predominantly we use diver gear on the boat. I'll say that fish I got on 3 pounds straight through, just the way the diver reel released when it needed to release, the drag worked when it needed to work, the rod loaded up when it needed to load up. They're all the little things people talk about, but until you're in that situation and you've done this for a fair while, it's those little things that you get rewarded with a good fish, and you know through that fight with that fish, I just knew once I got away from structure, it was going to have to be a failure of something, like a leader knot or something like that. It's not the gear that's going to let the fish get off. So it was just having that peace of mind, knowing that we run on diver gear too, mate. It's good quality gear and you can't beat it.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. After spending a lot of time fishing, you do get the feel for that.
Yeah.
And you need that gear to be able to back you up, which obviously it's done.
100%.
Very good. All right. Well, look, guys, congratulations on another awesome comp. That was very well done. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what happens in the next round.
Cheers. Thanks, Stevie.
Hopefully talk to you again soon, mate.
No worries at all. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. 3 different sets of techniques and what have you from the different teams. It was good to see Glenn and Sean finish on top. That was a nice little win for them. And obviously the other 2 teams did very well as well. As always, there is a bunch going on in the collective at the moment. Depending on when this one comes out, we've just started a new challenge. We've got a whole heap of new content in the background there. For anyone that's interested, you can access that 2 ways. You can join the Vault, which is just basically a listen-only platform. So any of the extra content, excluding the Zooms, you will get. And if you want the full-blown interactive experience, which you can join the Zooms, you can jump on Discord, jump into the collective, and that's going on there. Anyway, thanks for listening to the end. I appreciate you guys so much, and I look forward to the next one. Catch you on the water.
Thanks for listening to the Lure Fishing Project. For extra episodes, the Big Bream series, and more, join us at the Lure Fishing Project Collective. We'll catch you next time.